Welcome everyone in the channel Botany for You. Today we will study about a very interesting topic, that is reproduction in flowering plants, which is also important for CSIR NET examination and SET examination also. So that is the very important, that is how the flowering plants get reproduced. It is a very interesting question, and I will show you there one of the basic, that how the flowering plants get reproduced. Generally, the reproduction in every plants is of different types, or the class of every plant it is of different, like algae, then bryophytes, pteridophytes, and the angiosperms. So we are looking about the flowering plants. Generally, the angiospermic plants, how they get reproduced. When we say about the basic information, so first of all we will say about the flower. So every flowers that consist of the both of the, that is sex organs, they are most essentials for the reproduction, that is androecium and gynoecium. Among them, again in respect of them, also there are presence of the accessory valves, as a sepals and petals are also there. So the female, it is a female reproductive parts also consist of the stigma, style, ovary, and also the ovules. So when we say about the flower structure, the flower must have present, whether it is to be a, that is the bisexual flower, they having the presence of both of the sex organs, that is androecium and gynoecium. While in some angiospermic plants there may have the unisexual flowers also. When we see about the how the flowering plants get reproduced, first of all it starts from the flower and lastly ends towards the formation of the seeds and the new seedlings. So that is the continuous one of the journey of that reproduction, that is it starts from flower and lastly it forms a new plant. When we see about the life cycle of an angiospermic plants, it consists of the two main phases. One is the sporophytic phase and another one is the gametophytic phase. In sporophytic phase, it is completely diploid and it starts from the zygote and ends at the stage of microsporogenesis, that is the formation of microspores or pollen grains. That complete phase, it is a diploid phase and it is known as the sporophytic phase. While the haploid phase or gametophytic phase, it starts from the formation of microspores by the process of microsporogenesis and ends towards the formation of diploid zygote. So in both of the phases, the life cycle of angiosperm is complete. So the formation, how the pollen grain formation is occurred. First of all, there is a pollen mother cell which is diploid. That diploid pollen mother cells undergo the first meiosis division. It forms a two cells. Then from that two cells, these two cells are haploid. Then again on the meiosis second, there will be the formation of four cells, that meiosis second is more similar to the mitosis, and later on, because of the secretion of walls, there will be release of the separate pollen grains, 4 separate pollen grains from one pollen mother cell. Then later on it will get, the pollen grain will be matured and it will possess, after the cell division, it will possess one of the generative nucleus. Later on it will form the 2 male gametes and another one will be the pollen tube nucleus. So that is a mature pollen grain. Then the structure of pollen grain and their stages of development, or the stages of the germinations. So here we can found the detailed structure of the pollen grain, in that the outer wall, that is known as the exine, and inner wall of the pollen grain, it is known as the intine. Then it also possesses abundant cytoplasm. The A number shows the young microspore. Later on in B diagram, it shows that it is a 3-cell stage of the male gametophyte. Again, there is the formation of prothallial cell, generative cell, and having the tube nucleus, that is the tube cell. So at the time of germination, the prothallial cell is there. First of all, that pollen get adhere on the stigma and start to germinate by taking or by absorbing nutritions from the stigma. Then there is the increase in the growth of the pollen tube from the tube cell. Then in that tube cell there is a presence of tube nucleus. Again, that tube nucleus will having the 2 male gametes. Then there is the formation of the embryo sac in ovule. So how the embryo sac is formed in the ovule? First of all, the embryo sac mother cell, which is diploid in nature, they will form the 4 haploid cells by the meiosis. The inner cell, which will grows and nourish, other 3 cells will be a degenerate. Then by that single cell, because of the growth and nourishment by the nucleus, there will be the, after that there will be the mitosis, and because of that there will be the formation of the 2 nuclei, later on 4 nuclei, again by the endomitosis. So there will be the 4 nucleus. Later on, after again mitosis, the 8 nucleated stage will be there. In that 8 nuclear stage, there will be 2 polar nuclei, 3 antipodal cells at one end of the embryo sac, and at the another end there will be the synergids, and 2 synergids and 1 ovum or the female gamete, which is present at the center, and at their neighboring there are the 2 synergid cells. Later on there will be the formation of the nuclear fusion. So because of nuclear fusion, the 2 polar nuclei will unite. Before it was a haploid in stage. Later on, because of the fusion, they will acquire a diploid nature, so that 2 polar nuclei will get fused. So in that mature embryo sac, there will be the 3 antipodal cells, 1 ovum, 2 synergids, and centrally present the polar nucleus, which is diploid in nature. So when we say about the structure of ovule, there is the presence of the secondary nucleus, the antipodal cells are there, synergids, and one egg cell. Now these are the stages in fertilization. The first stage is the pollination. Pollination is very must for the reproduction. It is initial and very important stage for the reproduction. Again, the pollen adhesion. After pollination, there must be a pollen adhesion on the stigma. Again, pollen hydration, because of the stigma have some sticky substance which hydrate the pollen grains, and later on, by taking a nourishment from the stigma, the pollen grains will be a germinates on the stigma. So they will form the long pollen tube through the stigma. Then pollen tube will be enter into the stigma, and the pollen tube growth through the style. After that, the pollen tube entry into the ovule. So it is very specific number of pollen grains will be added on the stigma. They will attach on the stigma, but among them, very specific pollen grains having the capacity to enter into the ovule. Not all the pollen grains cannot enter into the ovule. So that is the very specific. The first stage, that is the pollination. So there are different ways of pollination. It may be entomophily by the insects, it may be anemophily by the wind, by hydrophily by the water. So these are different ways for the pollinations. Among them, the entomophily, it is very most and effective way. So number of insects, they are symbiotically beneficial for the purpose of the reproduction. The plants having the very attractive colors, they attract many insects for pollination, and later on the insects or the bees, they are also get benefited to achieve the food material. So that first one, pollination, that is the transfer of pollen grains from anthers to the stigma, that is known as the pollination. Then next, that is the pollen germination. That pollen germination, it is very effective stage and important stage. There is the pollen pistil interaction occurs, and it is very specific. Not all the pollen grains reach to the ovules, but very specific. Then here it is shown that some specific pollen grains which can enters into the that style. In above diagram, we are looking that the pollen grains having the S3 genes, which having the capacity to enter the style, because the compatible genes which are already present in the in the style, that is S1. That S1 is compatible with the S3, and S4 having the compatible with the S2. So these are the specific genes which will allows to enter the pollen tube into the style. So in second diagram, we are looking that the S3 have specificity to the gene S1, so they are acceptable and pollen tube is entered into the style. While in same diagram, we are looking that S1 doesn't show the compatibility with the S2 genes, so it is to be restricted. So the pollen grains which does not shows the germination. In next diagram, we are also looking that the S2 having compatibility with only S4, but here the genes are present a S1, so it is also restricted and the pollens cannot germinate here. Again, the S3 genes also don't show the compatibility with S2 genes, so they are also restricted and the growth of the pollen tube is stopped. That is the pollen pistil interaction. Only specificity is there. Not all the pollen grains cannot enters into the style. Now the process of double fertilization. In double fertilization, the both two processes are occurred. In first process, the one male gamete which is present in that pollen tube. In first, I told you that the pollen tube consists of the two male gametes. The first one gamete will fuses with the egg nucleus, which is present at the center, at the lower portion, where there are presence of the two synergids and the centrally present ovum or egg cell. So the first gamete will fuse with the egg cell and forms the zygote. Again, in second process, there is the second male gamete will fuses with the two polar nuclei to form the triploid endosperm nucleus. So there is the triploid structure or triploid endosperm will be formation because of the process of fusion of one male gamete with the two polar nuclei. So that is a triploid. There are the three sets of the genes. So in many times examination they can ask for the tissues which tissue is a triploid in form, and option will give you as a zygote, again other option also. So there should be a correct option will be a endosperm. Endosperm is always it is in a triploid in form. So many times can be asked in examination, that is which tissue is to be a triploid in form. So it is a endosperm. So that process is occurs in the double fertilization. That's why we call it as a double fertilization, because both of the processes are occurred. In first fertilization process there is the zygote formation, and in second process there is the endosperm formation. So that is the process of double fertilization. So this two synergids and these three antipodal cells will be degenerate, and it will be used later on, it will be used as a food material for the growth of the embryo or growth of the zygote. Again, after the formation of zygote, that is the double fertilization and triple fusion. After that process, the zygote will be formed and the endosperm nucleus will be there. Later on, that ovule, after the fertilization, it will get converted into the seed. Again, that seed will, after the sowing, it will convert it into the new seedling. So that is the complete process of reproduction in the flowering plants. So all these process required their complete lifespan of every that angiospermic plants, and it is variable to plant to plant. So that complete procedure comes under the reproduction in flowering plants. Thank you everyone.